Hello, today is 23rd of March 2026, but in the Chinese calendar it is day 5 of Moon 2. My name's Ollie, this is Red Sun Horizons. I'm an Eastern physiotherapist practitioner from the south of England, that's Southsea Portsmouth, UK. Okay, so we are still using this book as always as a guide or a prompt for each day, The Lunar Tao by Deng Ming Dao. Excuse me. So today's title is No Separation. There isn't any particular reference to any deity or any kind of practice that is traditional for today on the 5th day of the second moon, like there has been for the first sort of 2, 3, 4 days. Okay, so it does go in a little bit into talking about Tai Chi, just because of the principles of Tai Chi, or really, right, it's much more about pushing hands. Which is something I'm aiming to set up soon. Which is, so pushing hands, if you're not familiar with Tai Chi, is a form of, it's sensitivity practice. Effectively, it's a way of testing your own balance and testing your opponent's balance and all that kind of stuff. So it's the reason they've referenced push hands in here is because of the title, No Separation. So in push hands, your hand is always in contact, either yielding from the other person pushing forwards into you, and you're trying not to let anything collapse. You're trying to keep this expansive, energetic expansion as they push in. You just sit back, and it's predominantly, most of it is all coming from the ground, which it should do because the ground is hard. It's it's there. It's not going anywhere. And the biggest muscle groups you have in your body are your legs, so that's where your kinetic chain should come from, and everything should come up from the ground, driven through the legs, directed through the waist, and then the arm is just on the end of it. So much of Chinese martial arts considers the body, the arms are really like whips. Everything comes from the ground and that flings out at the end, etc. So in that, the name pushing hands in itself is kind of a misnomer. So many people, when they first start, I probably did exactly the same. They think that the thing is to push, as in like tricep, extend. It's not. And if someone is pushing too hard on you, and that, it's not their fault, it's yours for not yielding. So it is a case of very much like a dance. Bruce Lee said exactly the same: as they expand, I contract; as I contract, they expand, etc. Like a dance. So yeah, the push element of push hands is a misnomer. So really what it is if you feel that I'm pushing forwards, it's not that I'm pushing because this is inactive. It's that I'm releasing my front leg and I'm basically leaning on you. I'm falling into you. So my body weight is coming towards you, but it's not a push in the sense of mechanical from the arm or from the serratus anterior, or if you want to get technical. So you release the front knee, and at the same time you corkscrew, or I do anyway, a corkscrew from the sort of perineum area, corkscrew my energy downwards, straight down into the ground. So I'm keeping myself going that way whilst releasing that way, and I don't overbalance and tip forwards. That's a nice principle. And then you just reverse that, corkscrew downwards, but release the sacrum and the back of the hips, and then the knees and all that kind of stuff, and you sit back as they release their weight forwards, and then you circle. And this is the most fundamental push hands, but the concept is you are always in contact with the other person. You're pushing, you push their arm, they circle, they push your arm, you yield, redirect, lead them into emptiness, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so the unity of a ruler with the people. There was a little thing about so no separation, the unity of a ruler with the people. So this is from Guanzi, or rather, which is a collection of ancient writings from Guanzhong. So taking the heart of the 100 clans as his own heart is called one body. When a state is of one mind, the myriad people have one heart. So again, yeah, just unity things. Okay, so the main bits I want to read from this. First, there is the Tao itself. A Taoist doesn't wish to be separated from the Tao. It may happen occasionally because, perhaps because of illness or some egoistic decision on part of the Taoist, but the immediate goal is to get back in touch. Secondly, there is the social context. People need other people, and so a Taoist avoids alienating others or falling into paralyzing isolation. And thirdly, a Taoist realizes that all is relationship. If a Taoist is to deal with conflict, the worst thing is to lose touch with the other person. There you go. In a martial arts match, for example, whenever an opponent attacks, there must be a lowering of defenses. If an attack is to be met, there can be no separation, for the moment of attack is exactly when a chance of counterattack opens. The Taoist avoidance of separation means always being in touch. It means keeping in touch with all around us, and that we keep in touch with the way. Okay, that wasn't a particularly easy read, or maybe it's just the way I read it, but ultimately, yes, it's saying, obviously, if you actually want to make well, we'll take them one by one. So the overall theme being that obviously you need to kind of stay in touch with things. If you isolate yourself, you're doomed in that sense, especially from the second one it's saying. But we need each other. We can't completely fend for ourselves. We are a social species. The thing about the martial arts things didn't quite read right to me, but it does make sense. Yes, it is. Obviously, if you want to attack, you have to lower your guard. You can't attack if your hands are still here or here or here, etc. There needs to be an opening. And at the point that you open is the point where you're also most exposed, and it's learning to read your opponent. So the more distance you have away from your opponent, the more you have to read in that sense. It becomes like an intuitive thing, which you build up with practice and experience and ringcraft. So that is effectively everything they put forward today. Is no separation. I'm just going to read a quick bit from the Tao Te Ching itself, and I have changed my mind several times as to which one I'm going to read, but I think I am going with number 5 still. Okay, so the Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. Okay, yeah. So I thought that was probably the most fitting out of all of them. And it's one I don't think I've read on here as yet. So I went with that one. Okay, yep. That is pretty much everything for today. So tomorrow's one is the birthday of the great god of the Eastern Peak. So a little bit more of a daily tradition thing in there. And it starts talking about the 5 sacred mountains, and that goes on for the couple of days, I think, for those ones. And then we're going into commendation. Sorry, I can't read today. Commemoration day for Sima Qian. Okay. Yeah, nice and brief today. We've kept it to under 10 minutes. I will see you tomorrow.